we can move into some best bets here. Central Michigan versus Penn State. The line's been moving on this game, right? It's at minus 27.5 for Penn State. You have to figure with their performance against Auburn and their performance the week before that against Ohio, right? Both games, their offense has been rolling, and they've been able to put up tons of points. We know they're a solid defensive team. You got to figure with the emergence of Nicholas Singleton, that they'll be able to cover a spread against the Central Michigan team, and
I believe they steamroll them.
And for for the spreads to move, people are betting up that Penn State. A lot of people apparently have confidence in Penn State to cover this spread. I do as well, and I think their offense will continue to keep rolling, and they should be able to cover that spread, no problem. Duke versus Kansas, another one of my best bets here. I like Kansas to win this game. They're favored by 7.5 points. Duke has been surprising. They've been able to hang with some teams and come out with some wins. Kansas had some, to me, more impressive wins against better competition. Right. I don't think you go into Houston and win the way you do, and then have trouble covering a 7.5 point spread against Duke. So I love Kansas to come out with a win here, and I think this spread probably should have been higher. So I'll take the 7.5 points, no problem. Kent State going up against number 1 Georgia. I mean, we talked about Georgia. Offense rolling, defense,
still where it's at.
Yeah, still clamping down. So 44.5 is the spread here. I think,
You think they'll cover that, though?
I do think they'll cover that. I think this Georgia team probably gets in the 50s. Kind of a similar performance how they put up against Oregon, against an inferior team like Kent State. Okay. I don't see Kent State being the one to cause Georgia problems after all that we've seen from them. So I do like Georgia. It's a big spread. I do like Georgia to cover that. And we've seen, if you looked at some of the bigger spreads last week, I was kind of watching to see how that was going. The Alabamas, the Georgias, the Michigans. These guys, they were all covering these spreads, and Georgia's the most solid team among them
to cover.
I don't see Kent State, not putting up enough of a fight for them not to cover that spread. Like I said, I see Georgia scoring in the 50s here. Kent State's not going to score more than a touchdown, if that. Probably held to no points, maybe 3 points, the way they've been playing. So for a bigger spread game, I know we took Penn State already. I like that Penn State 27.5, but Georgia's another game with a big spread that I'll still lean towards Georgia and roll with. Iowa, we bet the under on Iowa last week. It covered. It hit no problem. I'm taking them again. Under again. They're playing a team in Rutgers. Rutgers doesn't have a good offense. Really, this would be probably something similar to that Nevada game where, Iowa goes in there. Maybe they're able to actually score some points. And I don't see Iowa scoring enough to go over this by themselves. Rutgers, Iowa's not going to I don't think Iowa will give up more than 7 points to a team like Rutgers. They're probably going to shut them out. But if they do 7 points, you see maybe Iowa scores
like 17.
Yeah, 17, 21. Okay, you're still covering that spread, no problem. So this is on the road at Rutgers too. But yeah, I like the under in this game. I love that under. And depending on how Vegas treats these spreads, I mean, we might see Iowa turning up on best bets every week if they're gonna keep giving them this many points and Iowa keeps performing the same way. Utah, number 13, Utah. They're going to Arizona State after they fire their coach Herm Edwards. Utah, 14.5 point spread. So, I love Utah to cover here. I would feel a lot better if it was 14, right? Those numbers when they go past it, a 2 touchdown spread is a lot easier than, oh, okay, 2 touchdowns,
And then that's it.
and then Arizona State covers. But I do like Utah here. This should probably be like a 35-7 kind of game. You know, maybe you know, 31
30.
to 10. I mean, I don't see how Arizona State is able to keep up with Utah, who plays on both sides of the ball. I mean, Utah might come out and score 50 points against them. I wouldn't be that surprised about that either. So I love Utah to cover this spread against a team that, just fired their head coach and is probably you know not
Not really like they don't know where they stand.
yeah, they
Once
don't
you
know.
get a head coaching change, I mean, we saw what happened with Scott Frost in Nebraska,
Yeah,
so it's kind of like they kind of
yeah.
still trend in that way.
Mm.
Changes don't really changes don't really start to set in until like maybe 2 or 3 weeks from when the
Yeah,
firing actually
and it's
happens.
different when you have a talented team, right? Sometimes head coaches get fired because they can't get the talent to perform. But Arizona State is not a more talented team than Utah. They're not very close, to be honest. So you got to feel like, you know, they're not gonna, because we've seen other teams bounce back and get wins after firings too. But I don't see that in this situation. I think Utah is just too good, no matter who the coach is right now. And
Yeah, I think you have to be talented to do that. You have to have some type of talent on your team to do that.
right. And so yeah, so that's our best bets. Utah 14 and a half, Iowa under 34 and a half against Rutgers, Kent State versus Georgia, Georgia minus 44 and a half, Kansas minus 7.5 against Duke, and then Penn State minus 27.5 against Central Michigan.